Hello and welcome to Faithfully Stampin' with Jennifer Helm. I am Jennifer Helm, the Faithful Stamper, an independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up! Today I have for you a quick and easy card that uses designer series paper as its base instead of cardstock. So that's a little bit different. It's a fun fold. This is an idea that I had a request to make, and I saw a card made by Tammy Beard of Stampin' Savvy, and so I just took her design and created my own card design with it. So this is an idea that's been around for a few years now, but I'd never seen it before. It can be called a double gatefold, but it's a lot of fun and very, very easy to make. So I'm going to show you what you need to make it. The first thing you're going to need is a piece of designer series paper that is 5.5 inches tall and 12 inches wide. Now, something important to note is when you're picking your paper, you are going to see both sides of the designer series paper, so keep that in mind. That's the most important thing. I recommend an all-over print instead of a directional one that goes up and down or has like animals on it or even hearts, because we're going to have a step where we flip the paper upside down and you might not want those hearts or animals to be upside down on your card, so just keep that in mind as you're picking your paper. So you will need a scoreboard first and then a paper trimmer for just a minute. So what I'm going to do is bring over my paper trimmer scorer. And first up, I'm going to use the scoring blade to just put a couple creases in the paper. Other key thing right here that I tend to always forget, so I always stress it. Remember, this is designer series paper. This is thinner than cardstock, so be gentle when you're making your score lines or you'll tear the paper. I've been known to do that a time or two. That's why I warn you. So we're going to score it 4 times. So in case you're making notes or taking a screenshot, there is your direction here. On the 12-inch side of the paper, we're going to score at 2 inches. Remember, nice and light. Usually by the time I hear the paper ripping, it's too late. 4 inches, then slide it down to 8, and 10. That's all the scoring we're going to do. I'll bring it back over for cutting in a moment. But the next thing you need to decide is which side of the paper you want to have for the outside of your card. So what I'm going to do is use this side for the outside. So I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to fold on my score lines. So I have a larger panel in the middle. I'm going to fold in. So that's basically a valley fold. See how I made a valley with that? And then I'm going to mountain fold the other direction. It makes an M, that's why it's a mountain. And then I'm going to repeat that on the other side. So in and out. And I just give this a press with my fingers. This is our hand-penned petal designer series paper that I am using. And so now, since I figured out I want my pretty pink to be on the inside and my flowers to be the outside, what I need to do is get a pencil and a ruler so I can make some pencil marks. Now, if one side of your paper is really busy and hard to see where your pencil marks are, if the other side is better, use that. If both sides are the same, don't worry about it. The measurement is the same. But I know sometimes I have struggled with seeing where my pencil marks are. So we're going to put a we're going to put a pencil mark, a little tick mark, measured 2 3/4 inches down from the top on both ends of the card. So there is one, and I'm going to flip it around to that other short end, and again do 2 3/4 of an inch. Now I need my paper trimmer, because what I'm going to do is on this first panel, I'm going to cut from the tick mark up to where the score line meets the top of the card, and then I'm going to repeat on the other side. So I line up my tick mark and my score line with the cutting track on my cutter. This can also be a small challenge depending on how busy your paper is trying to find the bottom of that score line. You can always refold it if you need to kind of make it sharper. And so you're going to cut a triangle off, save this, you're going to need that again in a minute, and then flip to the opposite end and you're going to do the same thing from that score line to the pencil mark. Now since this is super light colored paper, I'm going to bring my pencil back over for a second and just erase my pencil mark just so I make sure it doesn't show on my card. So now I'm going to fold the card back shut, and what I'm going to do with these two little pieces is just turn them over, and they're going to get glued to the bottom of the card here. Now since I use this floral pattern, I guess technically some of these are probably upside down, but you really can't tell. But this is where that directional print would make a difference as far as how the card would look. So just keep that in mind when you're picking your paper. If you happen to have a silicone craft mat like this at home, I highly recommend it for gluing these little triangles on, because you want to make sure you get glued to the edges, but you don't want glue on your work table. I make enough mess as it is without gluing my work table. So I'm just going to hold this shut and take my triangle here. I line up the quarter here at the bottom. And then once that corner is done, I line up the bottom and then just smooth it on up the card. And then repeat on the other side. And then I'm done with that for the moment. And again, just match up your corner straight across the bottom and up the side. And so then we've created this illusion of a diamond pattern. It's not really a full diamond, but it looks like one when the card is folded shut. So now we will do some decorating on the inside of the card. If you have any extra glue, you might want to brush that off if you can. All right, so for the inside of the card, you can, if you want, just use a single piece of basic white that's 3.5 by 5. The card would look perfectly lovely like this with my stamped sentiment on the inside. We'll get to that in a minute. But I decided I wanted to take it a step further and just add a little something. So I'm going to layer a cardstock piece that is just slightly larger, so 3 3/4 by 5 1/4. And that way, I think this gives it a little extra pop when you open your card. See what I mean? So that's what I'm going to do. You can obviously leave the layer out if you don't like the look of it. So this I'm going to lay down right in the center, and then I'll get to my stamping. So I'm going to bring over my Stampin' Pierce mat because some of the stamps I'm using tonight are photopolymer, so it needs a little cushion since it doesn't have one built in. First up, I'm going to take my sentiment, which is "Here's to another year of love, laughter, and happily ever after." I'm going to keep pulling that blue out of the paper with the Misty Moonlight ink. This is the same color as that blue cardstock layer. And this doesn't really need the mat under it because it's already got that cushion built in since it's red rubber, but it won't hurt to have it here. There we go. And then, let's see, I'm going to add a little floral accent to the bottom. This is where those photopolymer stamps come in because they don't have that cushion built in. They're just photopolymer rubber stamps. So it's great for lining up, as you'll see here in a minute. But it doesn't have that cushion built into it. So there's Soft Succulent for the stem of my little floral spray here. And then I'm going to use Highland Heather. And since it's clear photopolymer, I can see through the stamp to line up. I love that. And because I like it so much, I'm going to repeat on the envelope. I always like to give my envelopes a little something because when somebody gets this in the mail, they're gonna know there's something special about this card just from that pretty little stamp on the front. Sometimes I do an envelope flap that is embossed, or a piece of designer series paper glued to the envelope flap, so when they turn it over, again, they get that little, ooh, cool, something good must be in this envelope, right? Okay, so my stamping is done. Gonna bring the card base back over and glue my stamped piece inside. And then we'll get to the front for the decorations. Now to start with, you will need a shape. It could be a circle, it could be an oval, whatever you like, something that's going to fill up a bit of space here. It doesn't have to fill up the whole thing and hang off the edge of the card or anything. I'll show you some different ideas in the samples, but I'm going to use two stitched shapes from the Hippo and Friends die set that we have. It's got 3 sets of dies that cut layering shapes, and this is one of my favorites. So I'm going to use this. First up, I'm going to layer these 2 together. This is So Saffron and Blushing Bride, just in case you were wondering. All coordinating with the colors of my designer series paper. So these I'm going to lay together. Now, this next step is really important, because if you put glue all over the back of whatever shape you choose and you glue it to the front of your card is going to be glued shut. So whatever shape you choose, you only want to glue the left side on the back. And if you're worried about too much, like your glue trending towards the center, just err on the side of caution. It'll be okay. And then position your shape, press down, and then my card will still open. Yay! Now, I wanted to show you a quick technique with the other decoration for the front. I stamped this floral image in Stays on ink and used my watercolor pencils to color this, and it looks cute, but you could see I didn't do a great job of coloring it in because I want to show you how our blender pens work. These are great for kind of softening an image, and that's just what I was going for with my look tonight. So I'm just going to quickly go across my flowers, really the whole image. And can you see how it's just blending those watercolors together? I'll put it up close to the camera here in a second so you can see the difference with some of the pencil coloring here. Can you see how that's changing the image from the pencil marks to more of a blended look? I could have colored this with markers. I could have used our Stampin' Blends, our alcohol markers, but I just thought I'd do something different and kind of make this a softer looking card. So to change colors, all I need to do is brush this on some scrap paper till it's clear, and then I don't have to have a blender pen for every color, but that way I'm not transferring, say, blue onto yellow or something like that. So bear with me here while I color just a little bit more here. And you can color as much or as little to kind of keep this blended look going. I think that's all my green leaves there. I just like how that look really gets soft with the blender pens. So it's a fun tool to have in your arsenal. A little softness there on the flower centers. And then I'm just gonna go over these pink ones really quick. Just like that. All right. So again, when you're putting any decorations on the front, make sure that you are not putting dimensionals in a place where they're going to accidentally seal your card shut. This image is small enough, I really don't have to worry about it, but my dimensionals keep walking away on me today. So just watch your dimensional placement if you need to. You can use mini dimensionals or our large ones. My large ones have apparently walked off my work table tonight, so I'm using my minis. And you can add sentiments to the front of the card if you want. I chose not to on this particular card, but I'll show you some samples where I did put that on. And so there is my finished card, ready to go. It's a little different with the paper for the base, but I really like it. And it's not hard to put together at all. So I do have a couple more samples to show you. Here is a similar card using another piece of paper from the same set. This one I opted for a circle on the front, and I did add my sentiment there, like so. Next up, I have a fun one with a cute little stamp set we have. If you're not familiar with Stampin' Up! And Sale-a-bration, get in touch with me or check out my website. It's a great sale that we have going on, or not even a sale, it's a special where for every $50 or $100 you spend, you get to pick a free item from a special Sale-a-bration brochure. And this driving by stamp set is one of the items that you could get for free with a $50 order. So I just wanted to show it off because it's so cute. So here is a fun little birthday card. And this is one of those papers I was mentioning where the direction comes into play. I had intended the hearts to be on the outside of the card, but I realized once I cut the corners off that if I flipped them and glued them, they were going to be upside down here at the bottom. So instead I made the hearts the inside of the card because it didn't matter about the stripes. So just keep that in mind. And then last but not least, I have a Valentine because Valentine's Day is coming soon. So, and this one, I just jazzed it up a little with a couple of different punches based on that circle and decorated the inside. So I hope you enjoyed learning how to make this double gatefold card. I actually made one in purple and one in blue. So, if you have any questions or you'd like to see a catalog in person and you don't have a demonstrator that you're working with already, please get in touch. I'd be happy to send you one. If you haven't already, I'd love for you to subscribe to my YouTube channel so that you don't miss a video. And if you're a fan of Facebook, you can find me there as The Faithful Stamper. Thank you so much for watching. Take care and happy crafting.